Namaste. So we we know that as things are going around, a lot of questions on this issue, that issue. I don't want to name the issues. Always there are issues. Now, one of the basic spiritual principles, there are subtle laws of life which unfortunately nobody teaches us all through our schooling process. We are taught various subjects except the only subject worth learning, and that is life. They have life sciences, but there is nothing about life. Life includes many aspects. There are subtle laws of life, like, for instance, law of cause and effect, what it really means, law of suffering. So there are many such laws, and one of those laws is think about what you want to be rather than what you do not want to be. When we think about what we do not want to be, we are indirectly giving a stress on that because the mind is running in that groove. One patient had once come to me saying that I have done all the right things. He came with a chest pain and ECG showed heart attack, and 60-year-old. He said, I don't smoke, I don't eat meat, I don't drink, I go every day for exercise, everything. No genetic heredity, this thing. Why did I have a heart attack? So I asked him that, why do you do all these things? He says, so that I don't have a heart attack. You understand the point? These words act like a negative mantra. So every time we use a word, it's like a mantra. So how the word works? Because the mind has automatically formed associations with words. And these associations are formed by all the collective suggestions, by the common understanding, and now the word keeps repeating itself as a suggestion. It doesn't matter. The outer mind may say it is not, it has no meaning. But now the word has an association. Every word is an association. See, I was other day listening to this Tamil song. We don't understand, I don't understand Tamil like that. But it's a bhajan which is so beautiful. What does the bhajan start with? Amma, like that. So I mean, resisting my urge to sing. But you know that word, the word ma, amma, it has such a beautiful feel from childhood in your consciousness. What does ma, mama, amma represent? The one who will take care of everything. She is the nourisher. She is the giver of all things. The child, when he is born, he is so helpless. For everything, he has one word: ma, amma, mama. It is such a powerful word. Today, I remember one of the patient, nearing 70, still worried about my mom. Where is my mom? So I literally held her hand, took her to in front of mother's picture and said, here is your mom. Everybody's mom. See, we should always surround us because we are surrounded by the things we think of. This is a law of nature. Always surrounded. You may think about it positively or negatively. The brain doesn't have something like that. Brain is wired, this word means this. It has its own understanding. So whatever we are thinking, whether we like it or don't like it, even if I don't want this. But what has happened? The word is repeating itself and it's all around. So we must think about things which are beautiful, which are uplifting, because then we'll be surrounded by that. So instead of saying, I don't want a disease, say, I want health. Instead of saying that, I want to be free from fear, say, I want to be courageous. I don't want to be agitated. Say that I want to be at peace. Instead of saying I don't want suffering, I don't want suffering. Say that I want to be in a state of inner freedom, in a state of vastness, in a state of joy. So in yoga, we will see that this is the stress. So there are two aspects of it. One is that meditating upon things. It's a meditation. We don't realize. Meditation is what? It's the thought turning around one object. That's what meditation is about. So meditation is when the mind takes up something, let's say about love or God or peace, and the mind runs around it in different ways. So we are meditating about that particular object. And by meditation, we Even if the object doesn't come near you, we get surrounded by all that atmosphere and everything else that the object represents in our life. So, we must meditate and think only about things which we want to become. Now, the choice freedom is up to us. Whatever we want to become, we should think about it. And whatever we don't want to become, don't think about it, saying that I don't want to be this. Nobody will make us that. So, this is one of the laws of spiritual life. There are many other laws which we learn as we grow into the consciousness of the deeper and higher domains. For instance, one of them is the law of suffering. Now, today I saw a message. You know how it comes, same thing. So, the message says we are all, and mother's children, I don't want to, go into the details. But the message was that every day, some of, whoever connected with mother, we have decided that 5 o'clock, we'll sit and invoke mother's presence to free the world of this problem. And then the next was, if all mother's children join together, it will be so wonderful. The same thing was tried last year. Same thing. Now, there is a fundamental problem there. Problem is, it's not about getting rid of illness. What have Mother and Sri Aurobindo themselves said? Get rid of ignorance. The root of suffering. We get rid of one illness. Supposing we invoke and we get rid of one illness. Then every time there is a fresh illness, we'll again invoke to get rid of it. The problem is that if man remains what he is, if there is no change of consciousness, we'll invite. What does Sri Aurobindo say? Ignorance, man is in love with his ignorance, fathering his pain. Wherever ignorance is, there suffering will come. It doesn't matter how it will come, by what route it will come. It will come in one way or the other. So the only thing we as mother's children should, of course, and why 5 minutes? We should do it all our life. Be a burning brazier that let us be radiant torches. Let mankind and earth and ourselves be freed from ignorance. And what is ignorance? Ignorance is precisely this hypnosis that this reality is the only reality. Ignorance is not knowing our own soul. Ignorance is not knowing the divine, who is for us a conception. The other day I was reading another very interesting thing. Conception of the Divine Mother. She is the one who conceives this universe. She is not a conception. She is a reality. So, this is the second law, that if we remain ignorant, by ignorant is not meant that ignorant about, I have not read from WhatsApp or scientific knowledge. That's not. From a spiritual perspective, this entire knowledge which is procured by the mind is ignorance. When I had first read it, it had shaken me to the core. It's there in the Gita. That all this knowledge which the mind can obtain is ignorance. So I said, my God, it hit me very hard that I'm a doctor and I'm ignorant. Everybody believes that, doctors know, they are very highly scientific people, lot of research, but Krishna can't be wrong. First time when I came to know about this. So I said, let me find out then what is knowledge? If all this is ignorance, what is knowledge? And then of course Sri Aurobindo came, and how he reveals that even about water you cannot know everything till you know God. Why? Because it is He who has become all this. Even this appearance, phenomenal world, He has become. So if we really want to know anything about anything, we must first know God. Then we can understand all this. Otherwise, we look at things from appearances, we deduce. For instance, a lot of people are deducing, where is God? Now look at the paradox. During the situation of crisis, what do you need most? Look at the paradox. You need help. And what is the greatest help man can ever get is from the divine. So what happens when there is an attack of this kind or any kind? What does the mind say? Where is God? And by doing it, shuts the door to the very thing that can help. This is one of the laws. That is the time we must go back with redoubled vigor, redoubled faith, kindling faith. That yes, thou alone art. In fact, we should take the opposite approach. Thou alone art. There is nothing else but you. And mother says it has such a powerful effect that it can dissolve everything. Why? How does it dissolve? There is a science behind it. Supposing there is somebody trying to, mother has said if you have the right attitude, even the arm of an assassin will fall if you remain immobile. Now, what happens? Everything is ultimately, however distorted through many layers, projection of that. That means everything else can ultimately resolve and dissolve into that. So, if there is before you a very frightening reality, and you say, but all is God. Now, what happens? You have invoked the very highest reality from which this is emerged. It will be compelled to get back into that original state. That means momentarily, even if the form remains, yet it won't have a power to affect you. It will start behaving as if it is. I have had examples of this kind. I am not saying something which is just reading from a book. It's not a sentimental this thing. If we go with this, live with this idea that all is God, truly, even in the most difficult and dangerous circumstances, something will happen last minute. Even that man, he will become as if like a Devdut for you, do something or not do something, and you will wonder, ye kaise hua? How this happened? Why? Because you have invoked the original truth. So there is one reality, and that all is God. And this is the third law of spiritual life. When we live with that approach. And same about ourselves. Why do we live as fourth law? Helpless creatures. So there is a, beautiful image in the Gita. Or maybe we'll take up images a little later. But basically, if we live this with this idea, I can live with this idea that I am a small little puny creature with a little, animal cues forming my body, and I am this body. So what has happened? This idea has paralyzed my own body by limiting it to, because the mind is the neta, leader. Man prana sharira neta. Mind tells you, body, you are a helpless fellow. You need this. You see what has happened now with multiplying hospitals, multiplying medicines. Has mankind become free of diseases, or there are more diseases? Simple, it's common sense. Look at still we don't learn. I mean, as a medical student, I know, I have gone through that process when, we had so few diseases, so few antibiotics. And it has multiplied. Why? Because constantly we are teaching the body, look, you don't have to do something. There is a doctor sitting out there. He's a great guy. He's the one who will treat you. He has all the knowledge in the world. Don't you see him wearing a white coat? And yet doctors are good people. I must say that they are wonderful people. They are literally Devdut. But this is ignorance. The doctor has to teach the patient, that your own body has all within itself to recover. But unfortunately, many times patients get paralyzed. When they go to a doctor, they think, now I have handed myself. Now this doctor will prescribe me some medicine and I'll be all right. Yes, you'll be all right, but see what has happened. You have invested your faith indirectly through the doctor into God. And what if you do it directly? Lord, thou art seated within this very body. Jagannath, the Lord of the worlds, is seated within us. And live with this consciousness, see? It makes a difference, because then the body begins to have confidence. Otherwise, the body doesn't have confidence. See what happens when you are waiting for a doctor, and with all those hooters you are going. And finally you find a doctor. You suddenly feel, now I am safe. Now imagine, so much time is lost, and that too, doctors come for a short time. Whereas if we live with this idea that He who cures is within us, and this body, almighty powers are shut in nature's cells. Surround ourselves with Savitri, with prayers and meditation, not because of fear. Oh, if I do it, this won't happen. No, love of it, joy of it. People ask, what should we do during this period? Immerse. What a beautiful opportunity. Immerse in these things. They are the only things worth having in life. So when we live life like that, then it's wonderful. Otherwise, we may sit together, collectively pray, let the earth be free of this disease. Yes. Another will come. Another will come, another will come, another will come. How long? So these lines with which I'll close, lines from Savitri. O force compelled, fate driven, earth born race. O petty adventurers in an infinite world and prisoners of a dwarf humanity. How long shall you tread the circling tracks of mind around your little self and petty things? But not for a changeless littleness were you meant, not for vain repetition were you built. This earthly being, who now stares at the world with ignorant eyes, can fill those orbs with the immortal sight. A seer, a strong creator is within. Our life can be swift, revealing steps. That's how the almighty powers are shut in nature's cells. The life we lead conceals the light we are. Earth is a border screened from heavens. The life we lead conceals the light we are. So that's why in all yogic tradition we are asked to meditate upon what? Not that free of this and all. What are we asked to meditate upon? Sohamasmi. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Sarve santu niramya. It's a positive prayer. Make me healthy. Make me happy with the true happiness. Of course, when there is a sickness, ask for relief from sickness. But not be obsessed with, all around. And if ignorance remains, suffering will come. There is no way that the law can be faced. So if we really want a permanent cure of all kinds of suffering, let us join together. 5 p.m., 6 p.m., any p.m., a.m. with one single aspiration that may mankind, at least a little number of handful, as Mother says that at least a handful of human beings and aspire, may we be free from ignorance. May we realize the divine presence within us. May we come in contact with our soul. May we become one with the source of light. The one life which pulsates in this universe, with the love that can transmute everything. So let us join together and aspire for that. That's something worth doing. Namaste.